In the last week and a half, there have been 4 stories, of which only one has really garnered any type of national attention. And I would argue that the reason that only one of those stories grabbed national headlines and continues to hold national headlines is because it is a good device to divide people. Those in power will push a narrative that they know creates disturbances within the people. It creates animosity. It makes people pit each other, whether race or religion, against each other. Now, you might not have heard of 3 of the 4 stories, but I can promise you've heard of the story of Ralph Yarl, the 16-year-old boy that rang the wrong doorbell, that was shot in the head and in the shoulder. And the reason you've heard this story is because it's been nonstop coverage. And the way that it's framed is what? Black teen shot by white man. And the entire framing is that it's a racist action. For all of human history, the people have understood that those in power will sometimes do anything to desperately keep their power. This sentiment was perfectly stated by Lord Acton when he said, "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." This, in my opinion, is the current state of affairs in the United States. It encompasses both Republican and Democrat, those in government, those in the shadows. It also refers to institutions, corporations, nonprofits that do everything in their power to keep the power that they have. And I'm not saying this in a way of like a grand conspiracy. I'm simply saying that when things happen that are advantageous to sowing dissent amongst the people, you never let a good crisis go to waste. Now, all 4 of these stories have something in common. By all accounts, it seems that an innocent mistake happened that led to the altercation in which a firearm was used. Now, the other 3 stories involve a mixture of different races and ages. In the case of Kaylin Gillis, the man that shot her was a white man, and Kaylin Gillis is a white woman. In the case of Peyton Washington, she looks to be biracial. The shooter is a Hispanic male. And in the case of the White family, the family was white and the shooter was black. Now, I want to be clear. You are innocent until proven guilty. Now, the stories and the information that's been released can lead people to say, well, yeah, this is pretty clear cut. The person was doing X action. That was an illegal action. Again, innocent until proven guilty. With all of that said, of the 4 cases, I will say the one that looks like the most innocent action was taken is the case that is getting the most attention, which is Ralph Yarl. The shooter in that case was an old man, and by his account, he was laying on his couch. He heard the doorbell ring at about 10 p.m. That was odd to him considering he wasn't expecting any company. So what he did is grabbed his pistol, and on his way up to the front door, he heard that someone was attempting to open the outer door. So he raised his firearm, opened up his door. He thought that that person was breaking into his house. So he fired twice. By his own admission, he said, "I saw a 6-foot-tall black person." Now, the fact that he said that the person was black is descriptive. But of course, because of what I said earlier, you have to make the narrative push racial animus. So it's framed that, yeah, he saw it was a black man. He was scared, so he shot him. Nothing to say that it really wouldn't have mattered if it was a white guy or a Hispanic guy or an Asian guy. The point is that this old man saw someone, and in his perception, it was that that person was attempting to break into his home. But to me, seems to be the least egregious in that it's a terrible, tragic accident. In the case of Kaylin Gillis, she and friends pulled into the driveway of a house, the wrong house, as they were getting ready to turn around and leave because they realized we're not at the right place. The man fired from his porch, striking and killing Kaylin Gillis. Now, this man was about 65 years old, so he's an older gentleman. But that one seems a little bit, it seemed that they were leaving and he fired from his porch, striking and killing Kaylin. Now, in the case of Peyton Washington, her and some girlfriends jumped into a car that was not the right car. They realized that the person in the car was not someone that they knew. So they got out and went back to the car that they originally came from. That's when the 25-year-old male approached them and fired upon them. It's really hard to justify after they had already exited his vehicle, went into another vehicle, why he would go and fire upon them. Again, innocent until proven guilty. Now, in the case of the White family, this one to me seems to be the most egregious because it does check some boxes. There's a difference in race. In this case, the White family is a white family. The way the story goes is that children were out playing and they lost control of a ball. It rolled into a neighbor's yard. The neighbor starts yelling, goes into his house, pulls out a firearm, and starts firing, striking not only the father, Jamie White, but also that bullet went through the father, ricocheted, and hit the 6-year-old girl in the cheek. But as of the time of this recording, Jamie, the father, is still in the hospital. So in this case, you have a black male that fires upon a white family. And here's the craziest part. If you look for the story, you will not find any mention that it was a black male that shot a white family. Now, I also want to be very clear. I don't think that they should have that information. The only time that race should ever be mentioned is if it is material to what is actually occurring or happening. We can't fall into the trap that the collectivists, those in power, the racial identitarians fall into. We don't want to do tit for tat. And that to me is what's most important here, is that they are trying to keep power by creating division between people. And I think that too many people are falling for it. There are so many people that I know that because there's this constant push to try and racialize every single tragedy that occurs, every single event that occurs, they are taking the bait. And this is the way that the current establishment stays in power. Anything that threatens that, because I believe people are starting to wake up. They're starting to realize that there are people in power that'll do anything to stay in power. And having people at each other's throats is a good reason for those in power to be like, hey, we know how to fix this. So don't be fooled. Understand what they're trying to do to manipulate you and don't allow them. When given the opportunity to remove them from power by voting them out, we need to do it. When given the opportunity to support people that will take power away from them, we need to support that. So I hope that you understand. I hope that you will share this video. I hope that you will try and let other people know that have fallen for this, that this is by design. If you like the content that I make, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's the only way I'm going to be able to grow this channel. Like, share, drop a comment of things that you agree with or disagree with that I have said. My name is A.K. Kamara, conservative opinionator. See you next time.